Hi there, welcome to this onboarding video. In this video, I will show you how to get started with APItoolkit in just a few steps and introduce you to the entire dashboard workflow. As you may already know, APItoolkit is an end-to-end API and web services management toolkit for engineers and customer support teams. We use artificial intelligence to help engineering teams observe, manage, monitor, and test their backend systems and any other APIs they depend on. First, you need to go to APItoolkit.io. The link will be in the description. Click the Start for Free button on the top right section of the page. And then here you get to choose between the Google Auth or GitHub Auth option, or you can choose to input your email address and password. I will just sign in with my Gmail, and yes, so once you sign in, you will be redirected to the first page, which is the list of projects. And what you want to do is to create a new project. So you click on the Create Project button, and then you enter a title. I would, enter something like Cooking API, and then select your time zone. I will just select a random time zone for now, and then you can enter a description about the project. And then you get to select a plan. So we currently have 3 plans. There's the free plan, the pay-as-you-use plan, and the graduated plan. I would select the free plan for now. And then you also have the ability to add multiple members and select a permission if you want the user to be able to edit or view. I will delete that for now, and then I proceed. So once you are done providing all the required values, and if you selected a pay-as-you-use or graduated plan, you need to enter your payment details. And then once that is done, you get to see the survey form. Please fill the form. It helps us to better improve our systems. We'll select the frameworks I intend to, work with, and then, select some features I'm more interested in, where I would like my data to be processed, and then where I heard about APItoolkit form. And then I click Proceed. Now, once you create your project, you're automatically redirected to the dashboard. And when you get there, an API key is automatically generated for you, which you can already see being used in the integration examples. For example, here you can see the API key here. If you select another framework, you can also see the API key here, right? But if you want to fetch your API key or create new ones, you can click on this, or you can just click on the tab here, click on the API keys, and it will bring you to this page. Here you can create a new key like staging, you submit, and the key is created. And then you can show it here, you can copy, and you can also revoke those keys here. Basically, this allows you to create multiple keys, so you can track requests from your systems, either in development, staging, or production. So allow APItoolkit begin monitoring your API, and for you to start exploring your data through our platform, you need to integrate one of our SDKs into your application. We currently support 17+ web frameworks in different programming languages, and if we do not support your framework, kindly send us an email at hello@apitoolkit.io, and we will create a new SDK for you as soon as possible. To integrate your preferred framework, you can follow our SDK guides. The link will be in the description, and you can also find that on the dashboard at each bottom parts of the integration examples here. You can find a link to those guides there. But let me quickly show you what that process looks like using our Python Flask SDK. So here I have a very simple demo app with a few basic endpoints. First, here I have the routes, which just renders this particular template in the main.html file. And then I have an hello endpoint that returns a hello word. I have a dynamic route here where you could, pass in your name and it returns hello, your name. And I have like a predict route here, which basically uses some machine learning model to process some requests. So it gives you a form, and then when you enter some requests, it returns a response to you. This is just a sample Flask API. Generally, you would have your own application built with any framework that you desire. And our goal here now is to add APItoolkit's SDK into this application so we can begin monitoring data. And the first thing you want to do is to install the SDK. On Flask, you can install that SDK with pip install APItoolkit Flask. I already have it installed here, so I would skip this process. And then the next step is that you want to import the SDK. So you impute this from APItoolkit Flask, import APItoolkit, and this imports the SDK. And now we want to initialize APItoolkit somewhere in the application so we can track the request. And this is what this block of code does. First, we set, our API key, which we would fetch from the env file, and then we initialize a new instance of APItoolkit. We pass in the API key, and then here this just tracks every request before and then tracks the request after. And basically, when we run this application, we would now be able to track requests coming in from our application. So what we need to do now is, come here, we'll grab our API key. So I'll copy the default one, and then you go to the env file, I pass in that API key, and then when you come here, our app is ready to be run. I would, impute the Flask run command, and this should start up. So I would open that page, and then this returns our basic API. So generally, if I come here and I, go to the hello route, I get the hello world message. If I go to the greet route, I'll get hello APItoolkit user. So I'll pass a random name in now. So if I do greet/Anthony, it returns hello Anthony. Basically, our endpoints are working correctly, right? And if you observe somewhere here, you can already see, some data is already being sent to our servers. And basically, that's how APItoolkit tracks information. And right now, we're doing everything locally, which means you can set up APItoolkit on your local environment, in production, in staging, and in any environment to decide. And there are also more things you can do with APItoolkit. For example, you can redact headers, you can redact request or response body. And basically all you have to do is just to enter a list of JSON path expressions to specify which fields in the request body you want to redact. So when you do this, at APItoolkit, you would not see those fields, and then you get this, client redacted fields there and all of that. And there's just so much more you can do with our SDKs. Like you can track outgoing requests, that's requests you make to external services. You can track errors that occurred on a specific request. You can configure tags, specify service versions, and a bunch of more stuff you can learn about in our SDK guides. And now you can then proceed to deploy your application. And when your users make requests on their end, the requests will also be tracked and sent to APItoolkit, which you can then explore on the dashboard. Now let's see what our data so far looks like. So if you come to the get started page, if you observe before, there was some loading icon here. Now APItoolkit has been integrated, and if you come to the dashboard, you would be welcomed with a bunch of endpoints that has been detected, like the routes, the default routes, the greet routes, the greet name, dynamic routes, the hello routes, and a bunch of others, right? And you can already begin to see the number of requests that has been made. So if you come to the endpoints tab, you can see all the endpoints here in the inbox, and you can already come to the log explorer, and you can also begin to explore that data. Now I'm going to walk you through every single page in the dashboard and what you can do in each of them. And if you come to the dashboard, it gives you a summary of all your API analytics, including requests, anomalies, endpoints, request shapes, and all that stuff. And also, we have some visualized graphs here of all the basic information you need, like errors, latency percentiles, and all that stuff. And if you come to the endpoints page, you get the list of all your endpoints. So basically here, you see the new incoming endpoints. And now you come to the API log explorer, you get a list of all your requests here. You can, click on each request to see and learn more about those requests. and a bunch of other stuff. You can also expand this request and see more about what's going on here. You can also create a link and share this link with someone on your customer support team so they can check out a particular error and what happened. And then now I can also filter all the requests on the log using our query builder here. So I can click on this and then I can add filter by field. I can also use this and if you choose to use the editor and not a query builder, you can do this, and then you run the query, it returns all the get request. I can change that to post, and it returns only the post request. And then also when you go to the changes and errors page, you get alerted on all the list of anomalies and errors detected from your API. With APItoolkit, basically an anomaly is something, some change in how we've tracked certain requests on your application before. And that's the beautiful part about APItoolkit, is we learn from your application. We get data from your previous requests and we use that to give you information about what's happening, what's changed, and so you can use that information to better improve your system. So here you can see new endpoints coming in, and that's the only change that's happened so far. You would also see errors here when there are errors in your application. You also see when a particular field has changed and all of that. The next page is the outgoing integrations. Here you get to see a list of all outgoing requests, which is basically external API calls from your application, right? And then if you come to the API test page, you also get to explore and create manual or scheduled test assertions with multiple steps to validate HTTP response in your API. Our OpenAPI Swagger also allows you to, we automatically generate OpenAPI specifications or Swagger docs from your live API payloads, and then there's so many use cases for this particular feature where you can easily alert your documentation engineers when some certain field has changed in the API, so you don't have to do that manually anymore because you can integrate this with your own systems. And then when you come to the reports page, you get to see reports and alerts if you want to receive that daily or weekly. And that's pretty much everything about the entire dashboard. But one thing to note is that once APItoolkit starts tracking data from your API, you'll find the list of detected endpoints on the endpoints page and the list of detected anomalies on the changes and errors pages, right? You need to acknowledge each endpoint or anomaly so APItoolkit understands the shape of your endpoints, and we use that information for further anomalies detection. So basically, when you come to the endpoints page and you go to the inbox tab shows you every incoming change, and archive tab shows you endpoints you've archived, and active tabs will show you all the active endpoints, right? So when you acknowledge an endpoint, we then begin to listen to requests coming through that endpoint so that we can in the future tell what has changed based on requests coming into the endpoint. So basically I can acknowledge these endpoints, I can acknowledge this, acknowledge all of them. And once I do this and I go to the active tab, I can find all of them. It's very important for you to continuously acknowledge all your important endpoints, as many endpoints as you want us to monitor. Please ensure that you acknowledge them on your dashboard. To also better help you understand how APItoolkit dashboard works, we provide you with a demo project with live demo data, which you can explore and see what the end result will look like when you integrate your own application. So when you go to your project list, you would find this APItoolkit demo project. When you click on it, you get to see a live project with even much more data, and it gives you more insight on what the request will look like when you finish integrating the application. So here you get a similar experience. You see the API log explorer here. You can take a look at the request also. You can go to the changes and error pages, see the errors, open them. You can take a look at the OpenAPI Swagger and then see what that looks like here, and a bunch of cool stuff from your live payload. You can also see the weekly reports that have been sent based on changes made to your application. And yeah, we're excited to have you on board and can't wait to help you improve your engineering workflow. If you haven't yet, go sign up at app.apitoolkit.io and begin monitoring the entire backend system. If you need any extra help, you can schedule a call with the staff or join our community Discord server. Our support team is always ready to help.